Welcome back to another episode of Camp Time is Real Time. It's me, Sarah Lebrecq. I'm your host. Hello. Good news, guys. We've got part 2 of Sam and Tom dropping right now. So I'm sitting up here in Canada for work, and I bought a bag of Butterfingers, and I'm listening to the podcast, and I thought, we have to do it. We have to drop the other episode today. So that's what we're going to do. So this is more from that interview inside Tom's old office, and we touch upon just so much more stuff. There are a lot of former campers and counselors mentioned in this one, so if you're listening and you know these people, reach out to them and have them hear their name under the bright podcast lights or whatever the audio equivalent of that is. This was so fun. You're not going to believe it, was a technical difficulty just with recording. So there is certainly more to say. However, it's not recorded. So hopefully we'll record another episode at some point in the future. Enjoy this one, and we will check in with you soon. Bye. If you're going down Mine Brook on the left, there used to be like big driftwood on the side where the turtles used to hang out. Yeah. Did you guys clear that? Do you know? Or is that just a function? Is it just how nature...
Yeah, that might have just naturally gone away. But you know what I thought you were going to say, Sarah? You can almost see it in this photograph right here.
Yeah.
Used to be that when you got to where the bend is, there was almost like a fork in the river. You could choose 2 different directions.
Yeah.
You go around the way that you currently do. Yeah. But then to the left... what is now, I guess, just kind of like a marshy area that you can't get a canoe or a kayak through. Yeah. There was a clear lane that you could travel through and then reconnect on the other side of the bend.
Yeah. These were all turtle spots. Yeah. Back when we could catch turtles, which was great. And I understand we can't be putting our hands in the...
Don't put your hand in the water for a snapper.
Yeah.
Which they would if we didn't tell them.
I feel like I learned about turtles here because we would go for the sun turtles, and then every so often someone would be like, "We got a snapper," the little baby one. Yeah. I'm like, "Get away from me," whatever.
But yeah, you could go either direction. You'd link back up in the same spot and then just wind your way around to the dam. And you could still make it up there, but it's just become more difficult over the years with less rain, these droughts, and now it's kind of like a big deal to get up to the dam. It used to just be kind of a normal thing, and then occasionally we'd go through the dam onto the other side, and that's beautiful out there. Wow. I think Eric was telling the story of when he and I made that trip years ago when he was the head counselor. Then I went probably 10 years ago with one of the Friday brothers. I think it was AJ.
Okay.
That picture used to be up here.
And the 2 of us went, and I think we had arranged with Tom to get a little bit of like extra time taken care of. And we took a really long trip, went under the bridge on Pond Street, and I don't know, maybe another couple hundred yards. Had to get out a couple times to get the canoe over a beaver dam. Yeah. And I don't even remember exactly what the official purpose was. I probably told Tom, like, I just need to do a little exploring, to prepare for my boating lessons.
Right.
But no, we did end up using it. It must have been that same year. We took the then Cheyennes, which was the group that had like Shay and Katie and Trisha. Yeah. We did like a block off like 3 activities, and whoever was supposed to come to boating went to the Cheyennes area, and we took them on a long ride all the way up to the bridge that goes over Pond Street, which if you walk from camp there, it's only about 100 yards away. It's before the Elks. Yeah. But by canoe, it was a pretty long ride. It was a good solid probably 45 minutes or hour there, got out of the boats, hung out for a bit, then came back with the current. It's nice.
Wow. That's awesome. And that's recent. Yeah, that's cool.
Great day. AJ, we could spend a whole session just talking about personalities. Oh, just bringing back memories. I'm looking in here, all these photos, and you made me just think of AJ, him doing Elvis Presley.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
AJ Friday.
You remember?
I had him as a Navajo,
He's a very quiet guy. Yeah. In general. Quiet. All the Fridays were great here. Jen was here, great. She, Andrew. The 3 Fridays were all here together for a few years. Yeah. They were tremendous. Yeah. How they did the brotherly, sisterly competition, and Jen would always turn the 2 boys in for things. Nice. Up in front of the sing, and they'd get her back. But he did an Elvis impression. And we ran with it, of course. He did it once a year for about 4 years, I'd say. Mm-hmm. He just had it. That's awesome. And he'd do Jailhouse Rock or something. Yeah. and we'd bring him in a vehicle. Of
Oh,
some
right.
kind.
Elvis is here.
Yeah, and he had this
Gotcha.
Burns.
Yeah.
And he just did the voice really well, and he had the look, kind of the Elvis face.
Yep.
People went crazy.
That's. I remember him as a Navajo. Like, I had him one of my last years. That's so great.
I wonder what they're doing now. They're great kids.
Yeah, that's happened with a lot of people over time where like they had a pretty quiet personality, but then they got some little gig that they did for the camp, and that became their thing, you know. The Alex Cutler with his Billy Joel song, right? We didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire. Yes. Cuts. Yeah.
Jillian and Brian Ray with their Napoleon Dynamite dance that they would do every
Napoleon Dynamite when that was out.
But no, you mentioning the car reminded me of like how often we've used that little bit of there's some type of thing that we're going to do for the camp, and it's going to start up with a car rolling into a spot where a car isn't supposed to be on camp.
Right.
You know, it's happened at the tent, the theater, of course, right? And then that reminds me of another thing where there used to be like an ongoing event or competition that was stuff as many counselors or people into blank as possible. Right?
Yeah.
And one of them was a car. It was somebody had this big
Betsy
like old
Dugan.
caddy or something like that.
A Lincoln Continental.
And it was like, okay, assistants, your turn. And there'd be like 20 assistants piling into this car. Somebody was like behind the seat in the little well where your feet go, just getting crushed by these bodies.
And the car was in the middle of the games field. We drove it right out there.
Oh my God.
And it went right down to the spring. It was almost touching the ground, the car was.
We did. This is as just a little kid. I remember this. There was a couple times you did that with the whole camp. Just must have been like a camp. Let's challenge ourselves to see if we can fit the entire camp in.
Yeah.
And the two I remember were the current theater.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, I mean, that's unimaginable now for many reasons. One is that the camp is so much bigger, right? But there were less people, and I think we did it. And then the other one was the old boathouse.
The old boathouse.
Where the little structures right now says Team White on it. Yeah. I think it was tiny. We fit everybody in there from the camp. See, now it would have to be, let's try to fit the whole camp into the barn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. Oh, we can do it.
We also did it in a stall in the stable.
Yeah.
And then recently, we did it with, I used to do that red bag out there at Flag.
Stuff the sack.
Stuff the sack.
What?
But that would just be counselors. It wouldn't be,
sure,
no, you could only get like 12 or 14 or something in. But
Not the whole camp for
no,
that.
no. And there was some, we put them all in the, what is now, it used to be the archery,
The blue whale?
no, the little under, it's
The cubby.
The cubby. We put the whole camp in the cubby once too.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that cubby used to have a connection archery.
Yeah, it was where archery would do all the rainy day activities.
And then, wasn't archery... Is this true? Because this also just predates my memory. I thought I just heard this. That archery used to be where now counselors park their cars. Back before there was a horseshoe driveway, that area was...
No, archery was right out the other end of the stables where the little flagpole used to be for
okay.
junior camp. And they shot from the junior camp side towards where the cars are now.
Okay.
So it was right there. Archery was right there.
Sam, what were you the head counselor of?
Games, briefly in archery. I'll explain the circumstances of that in a second. But I did 1 year with a week in archery and then boating when I came back. But yeah, when I first started up, I was games. 95 would have been my first year. 95, 6, 7, 8. And then 99 was my senior year of college, and I stayed through the summer to do a summer session to finish up.
Yeah.
And I came back home, and it was week 6 of camp, and it just so happened that the archery counselor, must have been Meg, right?
It was
Meg Casey. She was a friend of
From
mine from
Bellingham.
Bellingham,
Yeah.
and she had to leave a week early. I forget what the circumstances
I think
were.
she was going.
So everything just worked out perfectly. I stepped in and I did a week as the archery and explorers counselor that summer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Shannon Rice and Faye. Remember Faye from next door? Faye Walkowitz?
Sure.
Yeah.
Faye
They
Walkowitz.
grew up together. They were in that group.
Faye girl.
So anyway, yeah, games and then that, and then when I came back, it was 2006 and I was in boating.
All the cowboys did games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, Jesse had done games, and then I think he was a co-head with Kelly Flynn.
Yeah.
Then Kelly ended up doing it by herself, and that was in the 3 weeks of assistant right? So
Yeah.
I would do 3 weeks of games and 3 weeks somewhere else. And the next year I would do 3 weeks of games again. So you still kind of had like your places that you would go every year, but
Yeah.
you had to leave halfway through. But no, speaking of the return. This is pretty funny. When I came back in 06, I was originally hired to be the pioneering counselor. Remember this?
No.
Yeah, we had talked about coming back. So, I got a spot in pioneering. And then you were looking to hire somebody for boating, and you ended up hiring Chris Thompson.
Oh.
And it turns out this kid Chris that he was hired for boating was an Eagle Scout.
Oh.
So
okay.
at the last minute, he's like, "Hey, let's switch it up.
Yeah.
I'll send this kid to pioneering. You can do boating." I'm like, "Oh, awesome!
Okay.
I'd love to do boating."
Yeah.
And I remember John Panciaco got the biggest kick out of that, and he'd make the joke all the time. I was like, "Well, it turns out Eagle Scout trumps Army."
Exactly.
Sam, I'm sure, was fine with it, though.
Yeah, I was happy with it. And he was awesome in pioneering. He's a great counselor. He's so
3
funny.
years, I think, here. A great counselor. Chris Thompson.
Huh.
Great counselor. He carried around a bust of some composer. Mozart.
He called
carried
him Munson.
Munson. He carried him around everywhere. Made announcements with him.
Oh, that's
We had
awesome.
some unforgettable characters. And I'd see them, and you probably do today. I would just know in an interview, I want to say, within a minute,
Yeah.
okay, I want this person here. I just could read, okay, this is a camp person.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 minutes, okay? And I've only asked a few questions.
Yeah.
And most of them were like silly things like, what book are you reading now? That was interesting to me. I would say, okay, Sarah, if you left the room right now and I had your best friend sitting in front of me, what would your best friend say about you?
Oh, that's a good question.
And then I would always do, give me 3 things you think you're pretty good at. I didn't want to say strengths and weaknesses.
Right. Yeah.
And then give me 3 things you're working on.
Wow.
And by the time I got through that little phase and talking about sing and being the heartbeat and then seeing their reaction,
Wow.
I would say, okay. And then I'd find out if they were qualified.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Oh no, you're Corey. Didn't
And,
come up okay.
Not
So
qualified
what do you know how to do?
And if they're not qualified, okay, who can I send to be qualified?
Right.
Hence archery, lots of times when people started.
Yeah.
1 day. It used to be 2. Now I think it's 1 day, isn't it?
I think so.
Used to be 2.
Oh.
Or send them up to... Did you go to Maine? Or
Yeah, Camp Wyandoggonic.
yes.
For the boat.
Sent a lot of people. You remember Karen Kraus?
Oh yeah, she's certified.
That's right.
Everyone do that.
This is personalities again. Send her up there to be certified in archery. She played basketball before me, and so we send Karen up to Camp Wyandoggonic to be certified in archery. She comes back. I can't do her voice, but Mr. Cowell. It was hard for her to get to Tom here,
sure.
of course, all my students. Mr. Cowell, they didn't have any screens on any of those cabins up there, and I was eaten alive by the mosquitoes. I had to go way down inside my sleeping bag every night. She was so upset with me that I sent her to Maine. So she's leaving early to play field hockey.
Yep.
She played at Hofstra, I think.
Yeah.
Was this Billy Danner did this to her?
Probably.
I think it was Bill. I'll have to ask him. It was somebody. They wanted to give her a getaway, a present, because she was leaving a week early. A lot of the athletes. Did you ever leave a week?
Couple
Yeah, you
days,
did
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That was very common. It's not. I don't think it happens much anymore.
We talked about it. How it was. We never wanted to leave,
No,
but
no.
we knew because it was like to go play sports. Like it was pretty high likelihood that you were going to let us go. Yeah, that and Bay State games.
I think that doesn't happen anymore. This is kind of sad, but anybody who's on that type of track, they've already left camp a
Can't
couple
do it.
years ago because by the time they're 16, they have to commit the entire summer to playing and going to camps and being looked at by recruiters. It's just a different era.
That's what Freddie said. That's why he had a little hiatus. It's like I had to go play soccer, and I was like, that's a bummer because this place helps to round you out. Like it's one of those things like they say you're a better athlete if you play multiple sports because those skills transfer. But like this,
Basic games. A lot of people.
that like week in July or whatever, it was like I gotta leave early for Bay State. You're like, go ahead, go represent the state.
So here's Karen, really great athlete.
Yeah.
And she did a great job here. I forget how many years she was here, but she did a great job, 2 or 3. So they want to give her a gift to go away, and they know she's deadly afraid of mice. So the guys somebody bought a white mouse, put it in a box. Yeah, live. Put it in a box and wrapped the box up with pretty paper, and we presented it to her at Sing. Maybe you weren't here then. I don't know.
I know. I do.
And there is a video that's out there. One of our videos, I think it was Tom and Bill that did this, because we pull her up in front of the whole camp, and we're going to miss you, Karen. You're missing the last week. We have a little gift to go away. We'll open it now. And of course, she thought it kind of was going to be a hat or something pretty cool. She opens up, it's a live white mouse. She goes like this, throws the box, screams, and takes off outside the tent, down through junior camp, out behind the stables. And Tom Gumet, this exists. He's got the film of her running away from through the tent, down through the gate, through junior. He had her the whole way till she disappears behind the stable.
I remember this like pretty vividly. Yeah.
She wasn't happy, but she was okay 5 minutes later. I said, Karen, I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, you never knew anything about it. Yeah. Was there a 3-week session where Adam was the head of boating and you were his assistant?
Yes, yeah.
I think the whole camp was like, well, isn't that fun?
That's right. That was 94. That was Adam, again, it was a class ahead of me at school, so he just graduated. He was the boating head. Must have been Eric's first year not back.
Yeah.
Eric must have finished in 93. So he was the boating head, and I think I started in games with Kelly Flynn, and then I switched over to boating with Adam. That was awesome.
I think we all were like, well, that's nice.
Well, and I don't know how much Sam has to deal with this at his home today. Yeah. But I would have.
I'm already getting it from Eli.
Yeah. These guys would be in my ear a lot.
Oh yeah. I'd really like.
I always knew where they would like to go, and I tried to be as subtle as I could about it. But you're going to take care of your guys, and of course I knew he'd do a great job.
Oh yeah.
So everybody was always politicking me for that stuff.
But you always did, and I'm sure you do the same. Like, you put people where their strengths are, right? So like, I was never going to be in arts and crafts, right? Or well, maybe I was, but like there was like a track that you were on. So that's,
the artistic track, the sporty track.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get
the junior camp track.
My first assistant role ever, 3-weeker, was with the tenderfeet, and I was like, okay, here we go. and that was great. I had Brittany McLeod was my first year.
Talk about it. The years Brittany sang for us.
Yeah.
Remember? This girl, operatic voice. She would come up and loved doing it.
Loved doing it. Yeah.
Tom, can I sing today? And there's been others, but.
Oh, sure.
So we got into this once a week pattern, which we've done with a lot of kids. They come up and do something once a week, but she was tremendous.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Aiden's trending toward that. He's not going to be happy until every song on the Sing 2 soundtrack has been lip synced. I'm like, well, why don't you wait until third session to maybe do something with Quinn? You don't want to become that kid. You remember that session that it rained every single day?
I do have to correct you. It was 9 out of the 10.
It was 9 out of 10.
Yes, I heard you say on an earlier podcast it was 10. But one day we escaped rain. But it doesn't matter. The point is, that was go ahead and ask what you're going to ask, or you just want my...
I just want to know. Okay. I remember the second session.
I remember it incredibly, and I remember how, oh my God, what are we going to do? Yeah. And the camp, it was almost a turning point in camp. Not that we had to turn, but it showed us what we had inside of us. Yeah. Because we did go 9 days in a row of rain, and it changed how you, I think probably to this day, look at rain. Yep. Because we used to go underneath with almost any rain, not a mist, but anything other than a mist. We'd go inside or go into the buildings and do our rainy day activities. Yeah. Which some councils had awesome ones, and some were in. It started to rain, and they go, "Ooh, what am I going to do?" Yeah. So, and we finally, after 3 or 4 days, we just said, "Let's just go," because it wasn't thunder and lightning; it was just rain. Yeah. And we got through it, and I was so proud of the staff, and the staff was so proud of themselves, and the staff was proud of the campers, and the campers were proud. Yeah. We embraced it, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
We had very long sings, but everybody contributed.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
We almost got to, so you'd pull up, it was raining, you'd walk into the tent, and I believe every morning we'd do an extended sing to start the day and a rain dance, which I learned too late in life that typically a rain dance is to get rain, but here at camp it was to get rid of it. I was like, wait a second, it's the opposite. And then we felt it as counselors. We were like, oh yeah, this ruined rain days, because now if it's raining, it's like we're going on with camp. We're never going back into the tent ever again. But then I remember the next year coming back, orientation was very heavy on Thunder and Lightning crew, so we were tasked at orientation with coming up with rainy day activities.
Maybe that's when we started the rain crew off of that. I don't recall when we started it, but
we had to come up with activities, and I remember my group had Bonnie in it, and I was like, well, thank goodness for that, because I don't have any ideas and she has all of them. Because it was like every day we'd show up and just be like, all right, well, what do you think we'll do after sing this morning? We'll see. But
do you
it was
recall
fine.
the circus we had in that session?
Yes. Yep.
We had a circus in the big tent.
In the tent.
We had one big ring.
Yep.
It was a great show. Bonnie was the power behind that.
Yeah.
She came up with all the costumes and
Yeah.
she was great.
Yeah. It was like one of those like galvanizing events, I think, where we all kind of like lived through it.
Another galvanizing event was you and I think Katie Bell. You had gone to the concert.
Oh, in sync.
And you had a towel.
Oh, that was, Katie Bell
Gave you a towel.
Yeah, she gave me a towel.
That one of the, was it in sync?
Yeah, it was.
And somebody had used, one of the guys in the band had used the towel, sweat or whatever, and must have thrown it out into the audience or something.
Oh, no, yeah, Katie Bell worked at Great Woods.
there.
Yeah, she's like the queen of Great Woods, yeah.
So she presented it to Sarah at Sing. And it was like, oh my gosh.
Good.
Now, I was going to say that song came out of that, but it wasn't them.
No, Backstreet Boys is the,
That song, and you're probably aware of this, but I'll just say it for posterity.
Yeah.
That song lived.
It still does.
I Want It That Way.
It still comes back?
Yeah. Not as often as maybe you're thinking 10 years ago, but
Right.
it still makes its appearances, yeah.
For I was going to say 4 or 5 years, it was the main thing, the main song at camp. Yeah. Everybody wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is an awesome song.
It is a good song.
And it just fit camp.
Yeah.
And it lived forever, and it still lives today, apparently.
That's awesome.
That was cool.
That was the peak boy band. Yeah. That was when kind of the shift in sing went from, the camp songs, to like, oh, I have a CD, which it was like one of these, like I've said, anytime there's change here, we all lose our minds, we as like counselors. Yeah. But it used to be like you didn't have CDs. It was the guitar and the sing, and that was it. And then that was like right when
it's because of the bows. The bows appeared.
Bows.
Gail bought the bows.
Like if they knew the advertising this place.
The bows appeared. Our lives changed.
That's right. Yeah.
You just roll with how things happen, and then you just roll with it. It's just something will come up, somebody will start something, it becomes popular, and it rolls.
Yeah.
Whether it's body, what do we used to call that?
Body parts.
Body parts.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was Liz Baxter just getting up there and touching her leg back to the top of her head.
Yeah.
And then everybody wanted to do a body part.
Yeah.
To today, our guy, Fink.
Fink.
Fink just would talk at Sings, and everybody was just enjoying listening to him. Yeah. And it became something to this day. He's such an important part of camp. Is there any new ones in camp that have evolved just in the last few years from somebody?
Well, I don't know if this is the last couple of years, but another thing that I was thinking of is the jokes, One day, many years ago, a kid came up and told a joke. And then another kid wanted to tell them the next. And now it's just evolved. It's just part of the routine of Sing. Get the kids up to start off Sing with their jokes and riddles.
And do they come to you the instant you open your door?
Or all day long. Everywhere you go. Yeah. Sam, can I tell jokes? Oh, we're kind of full today. How about tomorrow? If I don't regulate, it becomes 40 kids and we lose 15 minutes.
Favorite Sing songs. Favorite songs when it comes up. Like, do you have like are there a number of them? Because I can list. I used to sing Cat Came Back. That was my jam. I love that song.
That was your song for a while, and it went on to Cat.
To
Or
Cat
you brought
Nutting.
Cat up
Yeah. Got to do it, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the cat came back, and I think it's because it's always been there. I remember it as a little kid, and here it is, 2022, and we still sing it at least once a week. Kids still know all the lyrics. You know, we'll occasionally bring back an old song. Sometimes it hasn't appeared in decades, so clearly nobody's going to know it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's one like, oh yeah, this has always been a traditional song, and you look out and people don't know what it is because we just haven't kept it going long enough, because now we do have the iPad with any song you want at the touch of a finger. But there were a lot of great ones when I was a kid. There was there was Evil Knievel.
Oh yeah.
Evil Knievel was a motorcycle man.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was what was the one with a long time ago when the earth was green?
Oh,
there were
the
more
unicorn.
kinds of animals than you'd ever
Unicorn.
seen.
Yeah.
Cats and rats and elephants. Sure as you're born.
That-
The loveliest of all was the unicorn.
Yeah.
That
And-
was
Rick Cardoza.
Rick Cardoza.
Yeah.
He'd put the little Irish cap on, and he'd do the brogue, and it was really great.
Drunken Sailor. We don't have that one
Can't
anymore.
do that one
Doesn't come
anymore.
back, no?
That's an original. I heard that for the first time my first year as a counselor here. What'll you do with a drunken sailor? Yeah, that disappeared quite a while ago.
Another old one was kind of cool because it came back. Dunderback. Dunderback, oh Dunderback. How could you be so mean?
Yeah.
Aren't you sorry you invented that wonderful machine? And remember when it came back?
Mary Corbett.
Well,
No?
I don't. Maybe Mary had done it for a while, but then it was gone. And then Scott Ambler's 3 daughters grew up at the camp.
Yes.
He taught it to them, and they'd get up
Yes.
and they'd sing it for the whole
You're
camp.
right.
It's
Next,
cool.
Yes, the 3 daughters.
That was an original. Titanic was an original.
Titanic.
That one
Oh,
comes back every
yeah.
once in
I
a
asked
while.
Michael about that on Friday. I was like, you guys sing Titanic?
Yeah, that was a great one.
I love that one.
At orientation today, this year rather, I was talking to the camp about how, 50th anniversary, we're going to bring back some oldies but goodies. So while we were all under the tent, I said, let's bring back an old song. And we did The Second Story Window.
Yeah.
But the problem was nobody knows any Mother Goose's nursery rhymes. So I at one point, I'm like, okay, I can tell we're struggling. Head counselors, you're allowed to take out your cell phone to look up Mother Goose's nursery rhyme.
Oh my gosh! Now there's a time of different. There's an example of different era.
Yeah.
Because people would have their hands like this.
Oh, yeah.
For a Mother Goose, and I'd go like,
Yeah. That would go on for like 10 minutes. Yeah. That was a good one.
We did one round of it. We broke down the staff into groups of 6 or 7. So there were probably about 9 or 10 groups or whatever.
Yeah.
Each group just had to do it one time. And we went around once, and about half of the groups got it and they understood like the tune, and the other half was just a disaster, which was still awesome.
Yeah.
We loved it.
Ooh, that's a good one.
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Charlie on the MTA.
Yeah.
That one has come back a lot with John Say. He's brought that back.
Yes. Yeah.
Should be coming around the mountain.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an old standard. That became Eric Giddings, the Giddings family.
Yep.
Yeah, that's still Kelly's now.
Yeah.
Lottie's, which somebody brought up correctly. I had forgotten this. But Lottie's used to just be the domain of the bonfire at
Yes. Yes.
overnights. It's the only time they made an appearance, and then we had to keep it going after the overnights. But
Have you
those
been
are
able
awesome.
to do it down in the
We did it that one day.
That
we
one day you
had,
went in?
dismissal at the end of the day.
Sarah, we could make that thing go for. In fact, we would always say we said. You probably did too.
There's a
You probably-
record.
You probably set a new record this year.
Yeah.
And we could make that thing go literally for an hour.
Oh, yeah.
I would guess we've done maybe not an hour. But we
I can remember one. I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago in the stables that really did go forever, and I think we timed it, and it came out around like 50 minutes or something like that. Yeah, it was
Wow.
crazy.
and it gets
Just
and
going
you talk
and
about
going.
getting people involved.
Oh, yeah.
Once it starts, other people are like this, and they're going back and forth, especially family members.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
And
five-
the longer it goes, the more comfortable people feel pushing the envelope.
And then poor Bonnie's over there, and it would be Hillary today. Bonnie's over there just trying to keep her children from crying because
Right.
they're not getting any of this.
No.
And they're all 4 years old, and it's pouring rain, and we're all doing Lottie Loves.
Like, oh, this is
And
the
loving
best
it.
time ever. Yeah. Yeah, I had to explain to one of the Luke, his name is, who does traffic. I was out at Woodlore that day that Quinn was just walking around, and we were just chatting, and we were talking about, he mentioned lattes, and I was like, oh, lattes, we used to do those at the overnights. Did you know there were overnights and there was a CIT there? And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, first of all, you have to listen to the podcast. But I was like, oh. And so here I am, like, mom of a camper. I'm like, okay, so picture this. An era 25 years ago. I was like, we would do lattes around the campfire. And then I was going in and these kids were like, I was like, you need to know your camp history. So, and I know that you tell them the camp history, so no excuses there. But I was so happy to hear that the lattes were back, because from my memory, once the overnights were away, I don't recall doing them again after. So it's good to bring back.
Somebody, it's probably Billy, had brought up about the overnights. I'd kind of forgotten this, but that at the bonfire, the songs were almost all like Beatles songs or some type of like folky sing-along song.
Yeah,
a couple guys
the
with
guitars. Yeah, it was a different vibe than regular sing.
And John Svetke would do American Pie.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
And he'd do the whole thing.
Yeah.
10 minutes on. It's
Yeah.
great.
Another old Down by the Bay.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah, we bring that one back still sometimes.
Good.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you bring back colors at Sing?
Yeah. It's been a little while, but that's always a good one
That's a
on a
good
rainy
one.
day, you know. Get everybody.
A song with a color.
Oh, yes.
Color day.
Or even just any theme. Every
Yes.
troop's got to get together and come up with a song, and if yours gets stolen, you need to have a backup.
Yeah.
Is ham and eggs still happening?
No, we haven't done that in a couple years. Yeah, that one kind of slid away.
Oh, okay.
You got 3 weeks. That would be fun once. You got
Yeah.
a couple of families. We did it with just families in recent years.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a brother and sister versus two brothers, whoever the families were.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't started with you and Adam, but from my memory, like that was like
Were we going
peak.
against each other? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
kinda
split
remember
us
that.
down the middle, and then and you guys.
The ham and eggs goes way back.
Yeah.
That was here.
Ham and eggs, that's a great one.
We had I believe it was Danny, the current CIT, came in a couple years ago with a revised version called Pancakes and Bacon, I think.
That's great.
This is the type of stuff I love. Kids come up and they're like, I made up a song. And everybody's like, yes! You know, and then it repeats itself every couple weeks.
That's awesome.
We had a girl come up and sing the other day with an original song that she had composed for camp. She's so cute. She's probably only like 7, and she's trying to teach it to the camp, but she's just speaking the lyrics. There's no tune to it. And there were about 6 lines. She's like, all right, so then line 3 goes, and then she reads it, and everybody's so into it, but you can't remember what these words are.
Right, yeah.
And then afterwards, okay, well, how does the tune go? Do you want to sing it for us? And she says, well, I'm kind of too shy to do it. So she and I and the people that were in the FCDC orchestra, while they were doing something else, we wrote down all the lyrics, and we just had to make up a tune for it. So we chose Baby Beluga and just made everything fit into it, tried to teach it to the camp.
That's awesome.
I think it went pretty well. Maybe we'll make another appearance at some point, the FCDC song. But it was great because the whole idea was, once there was a woman in the deep, dark woods, well, I assume is Gail, the deep dark woods.
Please continue.
And she wanted to make a camp. So she made the camp, and she was so happy, but she couldn't think of a name. And these are the lyrics to the song. And so she said to the staff, can you hear me? And they said, loud and clear. Let's call it FCDC. And that was the song. So maybe someday we'll look back and say, when did the song start that we've been singing for several years? I was there, 2022.
2022, mark it. Wow. It's a real journey.
Loud and clear, Gail. Let's call it FCDC.
Is she a 6-weeker, or is she still here?
She's still here, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Maybe we'll bring it back for the big show this
How
Friday.
about the song Dave brought? Wild Man Dave.
Shaving Cream.
Shaving Cream.
Yeah. Oh, you know who's carried that on for him is Scott and his boy Jonah. They'll go up and do Shaving Cream. Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, that was a cool thing. I've heard this come up a few times, is like people from the outside get hired, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was speaking earlier about the challenge that presents in terms of teaching people what the culture of the camp is, but then you get people like Dave or Chris Thompson or a million other examples. Like, they don't need to be taught. They just jump in right away and then bring their own flavor and their own song that they learned somewhere. It's awesome.
Right away.
Yeah. Anytime Sing was going over, I was like, let's keep it going. I love Sing so much. Because, like, you've just had lunch. a nice meal in your belly, listening to some songs, just sitting there relaxing. Keep it going. Yeah.
This is going good. I'm going to extend it.
Yep. Hermie that came back.
Oh, you saw Hermie in his new
He came back
version
the
is
other day, didn't he?
Nuts. He's Nuts the elephant now.
That's the elephant.
Yes, but it's become more of like a let's bring it out for a skit thing.
Yeah.
It used to be an annual tradition amongst the CITs, right? That was like
It was
their
their first
thing.
production of
It's
the
our
year.
first thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also used to just be throw a bunch of sleeping bags over your heads and throw a head at the front, but
That dragon
Yeah,
head.
the dragon head.
well, here's another difference too. You used to be able to pull that out in week 1 and have 8 people you could put underneath to pull it off on because you had all these new people that were coming in from camp, and
right.
yeah, it's become a little bit more difficult to find people who don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And you could dump a whole jug of water each on these people till
Yeah.
there's some serious water.
Well, that was like, yeah, because when they had no idea, they were like, all right, we'll do this camp thing. And it was a total surprise. And then, did bananas come later than that?
Yeah, that was a...
I saw bananas late 80s, maybe 90.
Yeah.
I saw bananas being done at a pep rally in Medfield. I was the AD,
Yeah.
and the student council did it to one of our teachers
Yeah.
in front of the whole high school. I went, oh, and I
Great for camp.
bang, that came right to camp.
Yep. Yeah.
So easy to do.
Yep.
You buy, a bunch of bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly would always take them. Does she still do that? Take the leftover ones? And she makes banana bread and brings it in the next day.
Oh.
So you just, bananas.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's highly visual. The camp is good about,
Yep. Yeah.
not some little, they're going to, whatever. Nobody ever let it out of the bag, I don't think.
Yeah. Want to see him eat? Well, so do you remember Banana Mike? Mike Lavelle, I believe. Yeah, he just became Banana Mike because he went so hard at those bananas. And that was, he was great. We love Banana Mike. He was like a last minute, right? Yeah.
Every year, that was pretty common. Have to find somebody right before camp started.
But some good ones though on those last days.
John Crowley
John
was one of those
Crowley.
guys, yeah.
Yeah.
There are others too.
Yeah. Sam, did you ever drive anyone to camp?
I did, yeah.
Yeah?
And, I drove the Fernandez to camp, and in fact, somebody was mentioning, or maybe it was you. You're talking about when Adam got pulled over one
yeah.
time. That happened to me too, and up until that moment, I don't think I ever remembered Adam's story. And somebody else apparently did it too, and I thought I was the only person who had ever gotten in trouble.
I got pulled over too.
Yes,
but I knew what
that's
to
right.
do.
You had Adam, yes.
Like-
Oh god, it was awful. Yeah,
Like I
I
have
was
to talk to the
driving
parent.
on West Street Medway back towards Milford. I think it was when I was driving the Fernandez kids, and yeah, I got pulled over, and I had to go up and do the walk of shame up to the door and explain to the parents that I'd gotten pulled over.
Yeah.
With their 6 and 9-year-old kid in my car.
Yeah.
Probably one of them was sitting in the front seat back then,
no,
right?
no seatbelt. Like,
Yeah.
just let's go for it. Yeah.
But I did have a Kids Love Camp bumper sticker on the back of my car, and so therefore you knew that I was safe.
Absolutely. Please be patient.
Fortunately, the Fernandez parents were great.
They were a great camp family, the Fernandez kids. Yeah.
I had I did the driving for several years. Great gig. You know, there used to be, I think you had a map up on that corner of the office of just sort of this area.
No, it was up here.
Bellingham,
Yeah.
Medway, Holliston, and so before the summer, Tom would have to map this out and like call people and say, okay, I got 2 kids for you in Holliston. I would usually get the Milford rides being in Bellingham. But my best one I ever got was on Benton Court in Franklin, which is, we could get up right now and walk to this house, and we'd be there within about 3 minutes walking. It was like right before I got to camp. I just pulled in this driveway, picked up this kid. It was awesome.
Perfect.
Great deal.
Yep.
But no, that was awesome. Nice little extra income you get. And
Well, you felt as a camper, oh boy, did you feel pretty special doing that. Yeah.
Right with a counselor.
Coming in with a counselor, and then and you get like the full experience of camp, as Adam used to say, because we'd get here early and then leave late, and then you get to walk down. Did we walk down? I think we walked down to the parking lot. Maybe that changed.
yeah, that might have changed to pick them up. I think in the early days
Yeah.
you walked with the counselors down to the lot.
Yeah, it changed you.
And then you can talk about camp the whole way home, right?
Way home.
Yeah.
Or if you were me, just struggled to talk about anything. was just sitting in the front seat, like, I don't know what to talk about. But that was really fun. And then I drove a kid's couple of years, I think, and then it just kind of went away. And it was.
I covered a few, either yours or your brother's routes. I remember picking up the
Maliniaks.
Maliniaks.
I think of the hood boys out there in Mendon, at the hood, that junkyard across from.
Oh, I don't remember. It must have been Jesse.
Okay, it was Jesse then.
Can you imagine if you're expecting Jesse to pick you up and Tom walks in?
Yeah, that's cool.
Talking about sitting there like this.
Looking forward to camp, sir.
And it was, like he said, profitable.
Yeah, it's like $20 for driving a camp.
I remember it was a separate paycheck.
So 2-year Betancourts, I picked up the side bottoms for a year, and they're a quarter mile down the road, right on Pond Street, and that was you're almost at camp. Hop in the car, let's go. It'll be $20. Yeah,
Flat rate.
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you live.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit, because Tom, we didn't really get into this about shopping for the overnights. So you alluded to it a little bit about the donuts, but so I remember from a camper perspective, it was like an extra cookout, basically. Send in your $3. We're gonna have. Well, no, it was like $15 because it was a dinner and then breakfast and lunch the next day. So the counselors would shop for dinner, right? And it was
No.
just
I think in the later years they did, but maybe not.
I did it all.
Oh yeah,
For the cookouts?
for cookouts.
Yeah.
I mean,
For dinner.
For the overnights?
Yeah.
No, we have video of this too. It's also Zeph, so I don't know if it exists.
That's Zeph. If it exists.
Yes, Tom.
Yes, Tom.
You
Just to clarify.
You rang?
It was a lot taken off my plate when we shut down overnights.
Yeah.
She initiated it for her fears of something happening in the woods. Yeah. But I said, okay, I've done it long enough. This is good. It was just so much put into it. But the shopping part, they were what's there now? Oh, Stop and Shop is up there by Starbucks. It used to be a Kmart. And there was a grocery store next to it. As you face Kmart on the left, there was a grocery store. And I don't remember the name of it, but it was like Market Basket. It was low price stuff. I would take 2 CITs. I'd leave on whatever the cookout day was.
Wednesday.
I'd leave the camp for like 3 hours, and I'd take 2 CITs with me, and we'd each have a cart, and we'd push it through the store, loaded those carts with everything that you experienced on an overnight.
Yeah.
All the cereal.
Yeah.
All the steakums, all the bread, all the stuff for the subs the next day.
Right. Yeah.
All the cold cuts, water, everything, ice cream, and just me and myself and 2 CITs pushing these huge carts through this, through the store. So one year Jeff went with me and filmed it all, and they asked him not to put his video. They asked him not to, but he snuck it back out.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's footage of us doing this shopping, and Gail had a Jeep Wagoneer back then. It was a red one. And I would borrow that, and I'd fill that whole car up with groceries and 2 CITs myself. Come back, unpack it all, divvy it up. I'd have help doing this.
Right.
Divvy it up on the table in the arts and crafts. Get everybody's bags ready of all the ingredients. Oh, hash browns too. Bags of frozen hash browns. And then we put all the lunch stuff separate. So now the counselors come up and get all their food. Then the next morning, after we've already talked about the campfire, the sleeping over, the breakfast, the free swim, now the camp day starts. And I would have a crew, it'd usually be the arts and crafts counselor and his or her assistants.
I think the junior camp heads would have to help with this too. That was their contribution.
Yes.
They got the night off.
Oh, yes.
They became the deli
Sandwich
workers.
makers.
Yeah.
And we made subs, ham and cheese subs.
Yeah.
Ham and cheese subs with tomato and lettuce
Nutrition.
for everybody that was there. We made subs, put put them in the bags, counted how many people were going to be in that tribe, and we'd make, 70 subs or whatever it was, 60 subs, and then then potato chips, and watermelon. They'd each get they'd each get a watermelon, and then the bell would ring and they'd come up and get their stuff. And that was their lunch day. The rest of the camp brought in their lunch.
Right.
This was their lunch.
That's great.
Oh my goodness.
That was so great. No sleep. Get a little sub.
Little sleep.
3 bowls of Fruity Pebbles.
Oh yeah. And I've mentioned this before. Of occasional counselor falling asleep on the picnic table.
Yeah.
Get up. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, or if you're not asleep, you're a zombie.
Well, I remember these guys, Jesse and Sam would come home from a sleepover, and you'd immediately go to sleep. And they'd sleep till the next morning. They'd get something to eat, and then they'd sleep till the next morning.
Yeah, like 6 p.m. bedtime.
And get up and go back to camp.
Yeah.